Hi, everyone. Welcome to the new Live for Bikes podcast. This year, we plan to switch things around a little bit by adding three new segments to our videos. We plan to talk about entrepreneurship, small business, retail, and self development, along with our regular bicycle products and bicycle reviews, and adding a third segment of customer commonly asked questions that talk about bicycles and business. So, thank you for joining us. Please like and subscribe and comment below for any questions you may have. Let's get into it. Let's talk about first our Live for Bikes business here. We started this business in 2009. We began selling used bikes from the backyard of my mom's house. This was me after me finishing college and needing to do something with my life. What happened was an uncle of mine traded me a couple bikes that he had in his backyard for an extra bike that I had in my mom's backyard, and I didn't need it at the time, so I traded him. I went ahead and put that bike on Craigslist. I put it up for $25. If I find that picture, I'm gonna post up that bike, the first bike that I ever sold. And I posted up for $25 and sold within about 15 minutes. And I was getting just nonstop calls for this bike. It was a regular or an old vintage road bike. This was around 2009 when the fixie boom just began. So I saw the opportunity there because I saw that there was a big demand for bicycles around this time. And a partner of mine at the time and I decided to put up an ad on Craigslist, and we said we buy bikes. So we got a call from a gentleman out in San Bernardino, said he had about 200 bikes. He said, come get them. So right from the get-go, we hit the floor running essentially because we had so many bikes and so much inventory right away. We didn't have much money at the time, so we borrowed the money from our friends and family to buy these used bikes. It was about $2,000 at the time, and we got 200 used bikes. They all needed work, so I went ahead and repaired them and started flipping them on Craigslist. This happened for about a year or so in the backyard of my mom's house, and at the time, we were growing and just making money from these used bikes because it was, we bought them for average. I think it was about, if the math turns out, I think it was about $15 each bike, if I'm not mistaken. And we, sold them for average about maybe $65-$75 each bike after, fixing them and tuning them up and, advertising them. So that essentially snowballed into what you see today at Live for Bikes. Again, we have, small, humble beginnings from the backyard of my mom's house, again, to what we have become today. I'm very proud of that. And the lesson that I learned from that is that I was able to test the market with a little bit of risk. So the risk that I had was not really mine because I borrowed the money to buy the bikes. Then once I proved the concept of selling bicycles, it kind of just snowballed from there. And that's kind of one of the things that I would advise anyone looking to get into a business is not just jumping in there and go full on right away. Because sometimes for me in this case, it was easier for me to test the market, and it just grew and grew and grew and grew. We want to focus on making sure that there's a market for what you want to do or what you want to sell, more importantly. So that's the lesson that I learned from that. It doesn't take away from you jumping in and being super focused and have a strong desire for having a business, but what it did was it was able to minimize my risk of starting a business. I didn't have to get a lease. I didn't have to, put up hundreds of thousands of dollars or, tens of thousands of dollars to start a bicycle business. By doing the small way, I was able to find out whether the business was viable and also grow my customer base along the way. So that's the advice I've had for other people looking to start a business. Is just check out whether there is a market for what you're trying to do. On this podcast, I want to be talking about several different topics that a lot of people that are looking to get into business may not have even thought about. So please join us for future videos. If you have a specific topic that you want us to talk about, please comment below. We are wide open, and I want to share everything that I've learned the last 15 years with you. I want to help you grow your business, figure out whether your business is viable, and become successful, and be a partner with you someday, eventually. So let's get this channel rolling. And thanks again for tuning in. We have a lot more topics to talk about business. There's a lot of mistakes that I have done in the past that I want to share with you, so you don't have to do them as well. And I think that's going to add a lot of value to this channel, to your life, to those who are looking to start or grow a business, and to start a community. There's the beautiful thing about the social medias, the YouTubes, and etc., is that we can grow a community of people, like-minded people that come together and learn about a specific topic. In this case, it's going to be, again, business, entrepreneurship, retail, and self-development, because self-development is a big part of staying focused and having the structure to run a small business for many, many years, because it is a tough thing to do, but it is worth it if you really love what you do, like I do. Again, thanks again. Let's move on to our next segment. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to our Live for Bikes podcast. This segment is going to be about bicycle seats and picking the right one for you. So we get a lot of people in our store that come in for seats, because seats are one of the most commonly sold items or aftermarket accessories that come in a bike. A lot of times people buy a brand new bike and it's really uncomfortable for them. And what happens is that your body has to get used to riding a bike. If you're just getting into your new bike and you haven't been riding a bike before, the first couple rides are going to be uncomfortable. So when people buy a bike from me, I always tell them, give the seats a shot. Like, it's going to be maybe about 4 or 5 rides before you really get the contour of the seats. Your body has to break in, your seat has to break in, and you kind of have to get used to it. I tell them that even if you haven't been riding a bike and you spend about $100 on a brand new seat, the first couple rides might still be a little uncomfortable. So I say, give them a shot before anything. If you already done that, or if your seat is just completely trash and you just need a new seat, then there's a lot of different things you should know about buying a seat. So a lot of times, seats, I would say, are a matter of preference. Depending on the style of bike that you have and the style of riding you want to be doing, you want to focus on a few things. So we get a lot of women in here who just always comment, I have a big need for a seat, let's just say. But I always say, sometimes bigger is not always better, depending on the style of bike you have. So if you're like in a hybrid and you want to put yourself like a big old beach cruiser seat like this one, sometimes that puts you in a different geometry that I don't like. That if you're riding, again, like maybe 10, 15 miles with the big wide seat, it might not be the best seat. I've ridden people's like extremely large seats in some bikes, and I just feel like I'm getting pushed off the bike. It's not the most comfortable ride. I typically go with something like a medium, like this one here, or on my road bike, they're usually really thin and hard, because those kind of seats and that kind of riding, you want a stiff seat to be able to just hold you up, and you're focusing more on performance than comfort. But that's just me. So for most people, you do want to focus on comfort because you want to enjoy your bike ride. I mean, that's what it's all about. So I always have them come into the store, which is the best thing to do because then you could actually feel the seat, and you could talk to a person about the different options and the different pros and cons about a seat. So again, if you're on a hybrid, on a mountain bike, and you want to just get a little bit more comfortable, a seat like the Surface one here is not very wide, but it's soft and it's gel, so it's gonna have more comfort, but it's not gonna be too wide. That's gonna get in the way and give you some of that other feeling, like the geometry that I was talking about earlier. This is gonna give you some nice comfort, and it's gonna help out with that pain that you get from riding bikes for a long period of time when on a hard seat. BMX style bikes usually just use like a medium sized seat. They really don't focus on too much comfort because a lot of the BMX guys are jumping up and down doing wheelies, and for them it's about performance. So the seats kind of just medium wide, mediumly comfortable. It's just kind of there as a placeholder, and again, those guys are focused more on maybe looks and more performance. If you're in a cruiser, you obviously want a beach cruiser seat because that's going to give you the right position. It's going to be nice and wide. If you ride in a cruiser, for the most part, it's just about comfort. It's not going to be you're not going to be doing 20, 30 miles on those guys. So definitely, if you're just kind of doing maybe 1 or 2 miles, a cruiser seat might be okay for you. Seats like this with the backrest, again, in my opinion, these guys are just mostly for show. They're gonna be okay mostly for maybe tricycles. I would stay away from these kind of seats on any other bike. Sometimes I see them on there, but for the most part, they're kind of just more for tricycles and kind of just for looks. The backrest doesn't really add too much. The next thing to mention with seats is durability. So sometimes, if you're gonna be leaving your seat outside, or your bike outside, you want to focus on maybe getting a seat that has a little bit longer life. Surface makes a seat that is all weathered. That'll help you have a longer longevity on that seat. And next thing to talk about with seats, seat covers. So seat covers are great if you want to add an additional cushion to your seat and you don't want to necessarily buy a new seat, or somebody that wants to get in, ride your bike for a few rides may want to just be a little bit more comfortable. Those are, I say, are kind of short-term solutions. I'm not a big fan of seat covers because they seem to move around a little bit, and depending on the riding you do, they tend to like wiggle around. So if you focus on performance, seat covers may not be the best thing to do. We do sell them here, but for my customers, I'm typically honest and tell them I would just prefer to spend like maybe $5 more and just get a different seat that has that gel cover or just a little bit more comfort than the gel. So some people like them, and I'm not one to deny somebody what they want, but in my personal opinion, I would say just a new seat is the way to go. And well, finally, the last thing to talk about is with seats is if you're a serious rider, you put it in maybe 150, 200 miles a week, which is quite a bit. You definitely want to think about the longevity of your prostate health. So getting a nice professional seat is highly recommended. Something with a cutout in the center. Surface again makes a RX seat that does that, and there's a lot of different types of seats on the market that focus on that. So it is definitely a thing to consider, and the world of seats is one we could talk about forever. If you have any specific questions about seats, please comment them below. I'll gladly answer them. Thanks again for joining us on today's cast about seats and picking the right one for you. If I missed something, please comment below. Again, I would love to answer it, and maybe we could talk about it on the next one. Thanks again for joining us. Stay tuned for our next segment. Welcome back to the Live for Bikes podcast. This is the portion of the show where we talk about commonly asked questions that we get here from our customers or our private DMs. or any questions submitted through our email. So if you do have any questions that you want us to answer, you have all those options. Again, you could DM us on our socials, send us an email, give us a call, and there's many other ways to get in touch with us. So please submit any questions you may have, and also comment in any questions below to get those over to us as well. One of the common questions that we get asked is, what's the best kind of bike for me? So that depends on where you're going to be riding at. That's a very broad question that is very specific to your needs. So what we ask, when somebody asks me that questions, I have a bunch of follow-up questions for you. So to answer that question, I need to know what you're going to be using the bike for. What kind of asphalt or ground you're going to be traveling on. How far you're going to be going, what time of day you're going to be going, because that matters as well, and what is your goal by using the bike, as far as maybe getting there at a certain time, or if you just mostly want to get there just comfortably. So all those questions I have for you. So for me to answer that question, I would need to know those answers so I can recommend them. Generally speaking, when people are commuting, we live in LA here. Our store is in the city of Bellflower. So around here, we just have mostly pavement. We have a little bit of hills in the riverbed, but not very many. I would say it's mostly 90% flat. We have a few hills, probably towards San Pedro areas and Whittier. So if you live in those kind of cities, there's going to be a lot more hills. But again, generally speaking, around here, I would recommend bikes like hybrids. Those are the ones that I recommend the most. A hybrid is a bike that's a mix between a mountain bike and a road bike. So you sit up straight like a mountain bike, but it has more of a city tire that's going to be comfortable and fast. The tire is typically 700 by 35 size, so those are going to be not very narrow, but it's going to have a big diameter to give you pretty good top speed while you're sitting up straight riding comfortably. Beach cruisers are good for just putting around and going about 1 or 2 miles, very comfortable, nothing too long. Mountain bikes, a lot of people like mountain bikes because they're more rugged. They can do a little bit more off-roading, and if you're going to be doing off-roading of any kind, the mountain bike is just, it says it in the name, it's for the mountains. So that's obviously what you want to be using. If you're going to be in the city, you can use a mountain bike. Mountain bikes are good all around. They're just not the fastest kind of bike. So if you want to be there a little bit easier and you want to get there sooner, the hybrid is my typically my top one choice. Faster than that would be on regular bikes anyways, it's going to be the road bike. The road bike is going to be the kind of fastest kind of bike that you could get. The geometry on those is very aggressive. You're going to be leaning down quite a bit to be more aerodynamic. Those kind of bikes, I find they're not the best kind of bikes we could just jump on, go to the store, and come back and just feel comfortable. Those guys are going to be for high performance, high miles, 10, 20, 30 miles. And those ones are not going to be, again, that's comfortable to ride. So then, but they're my favorite kind of bikes. And if you're looking to get some exercise and get into good shape, the road bike is what I recommend. There's for commuting and other bikes too. The e-bikes obviously have been very popular for us. That's a whole nother video to choose the specific what kind of e-bikes that you want. So for that, I would say tune in for the next video. We could talk about what specific e-bike will work for you. We also have BMX bikes that are great for the younger kids usually, or just for those who have that nostalgia for the BMX bikes. Those bikes are good for city commuting as well, if you're going to be mostly doing city and flat grounds, and it's just the most stylish kind of bike that is out right now. So again, if you're looking to get into a certain kind of bike, it's really a matter of what you're going to be using it for. It's hard to answer all those questions, but without knowing more information from you, the best thing to do is come and talk to your bicycle professional and have them ask you all the same questions that I just did, so they have a better idea of what to recommend. And then the best thing about us, if you live locally, is that you're able to come to our store and try them out. And again, that's kind of the best thing to do as well. And if you're gonna go to a bike shop and try them out, I always recommend that you buy them from there. We try to focus on supporting the small business and your local bike shop. We try to recommend people going to a bike shop and trying them out, and then going and buying them online. That's like the biggest insult you could do to a bike shop owner. So please help support your small bike shop or your big bike shop around town by keeping your business with them. Online stores are great, very convenient. Again, and if you value having a bike shop around your city, make sure you support them with as much as you can. That's a whole nother topic that we'll get into later. Without getting too far off topic, that's it for me. Thank you guys for joining us. Again, if you have any questions, please submit them below. Give us a call. Submit them in our DMs. Email us, whatever you like. Thanks again for joining us at our new Live for Bikes podcast. Appreciate it. Please like and subscribe. We'll see you on the next one. Bye.